paying their respects. As a presidential funeral is prepared, grieving Poles will line up to see Lech Kaczynski lying in state. I face the biggest task of my life, the words of the election winner, hoping to lift Hungary out of recession. Car bomb near Belfast. British Army base targeted as police and justice powers are devolved from London. And in sport, off to a good start. Valentino Rossi begins the defence of his MotoGP world title with victory in Qatar. For a second night, a stunned nation has paid tribute to its president, killed in a plane crash that's robbed Poland of much of its ruling elite. Lech Kaczynski's state funeral is now being prepared in earnest. A week of national mourning has been declared for him, his wife, and the 94 others who died in the accident in Russia. The leader's body is now back in his presidential palace, where it's set to lie in public view. A controversial figure in life, his death has united Poles in grief, thousands of them lining Warsaw's streets as the cortege passed by. The coffin returned home to the Polish capital's military airport, where the president's daughter Marta and twin brother Yaroslav led mourners. This family's pain, the pain of the Polish people as a whole. Russian officials say the pilot of the president's Tupolev ignored warnings to divert from fog-bound Smolensk. Speculation is mounting that he may have been under pressure from within the plane to land there. The president and his fellow passengers were due to attend a memorial service for a Second World War massacre nearby.
Hungary's centre-right leader Viktor Orbán and his Fidesz party have claimed an expected victory in the country's parliamentary elections. Opinion polls before the ballot had pointed to a Fidesz win, with voters putting their faith in Orbán's pledge to restore the economy after a period of near financial collapse. The result leaves Fidesz poised to win the two-thirds of seats it needs to push through vital reforms. The incumbent socialists were ousted into a distant second, with the far-right Movement for a Better Hungary, or Jobbik Party, winning their first-ever seats in Parliament. Defeated socialist candidate Attila Mesterházy acknowledged his party's poor showing, while vowing to make sure they would be formidable in opposition. Jobbik's 26 seats were a cause of celebration for their supporters. With the country's economy contracting and unemployment rising, the far right appears to have capitalised on growing social tensions. Although the outcome of Sunday's poll is clear, there will be a second round on April the 25th in constituencies where elected candidates failed to win a convincing majority. Fidesz, which last ruled between 1998 and 2002, will then set to work. Top of its list is to keep its promise to create 1 million jobs in 10 years. A bomb has exploded outside an army barracks in Northern Ireland. Police say a hijacked taxi carrying an explosive device blew up behind the Palace Barracks in Holywood, County Down. The driver is reported to have been forced to take the car to the area after his family was held hostage. Officers were evacuating the scene when the bomb went off. There are unconfirmed reports of some injuries. The blast comes less than half an hour after law and order powers were officially transferred from London to Belfast. It follows a number of recent attacks in the province, including a car bomb which damaged a court building in Newry. Dissident Republicans are widely suspected of being behind the blasts.
On the horizon for Greece, what could be the biggest multilateral financial rescue ever attempted. The debt-stricken nation has been offered up to 30 billion euros in emergency loans from fellow Eurozone members. In addition, at least 10 billion euros is expected from the IMF. Hailing the huge lifeline as a sign of confidence in its efforts to overcome the crisis, Athens says it does not need it at this stage. The government has not asked for the activation of the aid mechanism, Greece's finance minister told reporters. We believe we'll be able to continue to borrow smoothly from the markets. The Eurozone's plan was approved in an emergency teleconference. The 3-year loans would carry an interest rate of around 5%, well below current market rates. The chairman of the Eurogroup of finance ministers confirmed the latest budgetary data from Greece is seen as encouraging, saying it indicates that consolidation measures decided upon by Greece's parliament and government are indeed having an effect. Athens has imposed tough austerity measures to slash the public deficit. It will be hoping details of the EU offer will soothe markets after investors last week sent Greek borrowing costs spiralling.
Al-Qaeda's efforts to acquire atomic weapons pose the biggest threat to global security. That's according to President Barack Obama, speaking on the eve of today's nuclear summit. The unprecedented 47-nation gathering in Washington, hosted by Obama, has among its aims the goal of keeping tabs on loose nuclear material worldwide. But there are other more regional-based concerns. At pre-summit talks, the US leader met with prime ministers of nuclear-armed rivals India and Pakistan. The former wants restrictions imposed on Islamabad's nuclear program, citing a threat from the Taliban insurgency. Fresh from his success after last week's signing of the new strategic arms reduction treaty with Russia's Dmitry Medvedev, Obama will also want to get Moscow's support on his policy towards Iran. Although not on the summit agenda, the US-led push for new sanctions on Tehran over its nuclear activities will be at the back of many minds. Iran's leaders have already lambasted Washington over the staging of the summit. And while Obama wants a strong and unified international response to Iran, many other countries, such as China, are equally sensitive to intrusions into their own nuclear programs.
It's 65 years since Buchenwald was liberated. Those too young to have known the horrors of the Nazis joined survivors to mark the anniversary at the concentration camp in eastern Germany. Some 90 former inmates returned to the site. An estimated 56,000 people from all over Europe perished at the camp, liberated by the US Army in April 1945. We come every year for the liberation, says this man, who was imprisoned in another notorious camp on German soil, Dachau. We always think of those here, the comrades. It's hard. Jews, Soviet prisoners of war, homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses and many others were held in Buchenwald from 1937. While it did not have gas chambers, prisoners were murdered, worked to death or died of starvation, disease or medical experiments.
A technical error in the UK's organ transplant programme has led to at least 21 cases of the wrong organs having been taken from donors. An investigation has been launched into why, for the last 10 years, details of some donors' preferences appear to have been recorded wrongly because of a glitch during the transfer of data. It's feared the mistakes could reduce the number of organs being offered for transplant.
I think it's very important that people have confidence in the donor system. They need to know that the altruistic donation that they will be making is used properly and effectively to lengthen people's lives and actually save people's lives.
The UK's Public Health Service, the NHS, says it has already corrected over 400,000 flawed records and has reassured donors' families that no one has been registered as a donor against their wishes.